everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is March 30th, Monday. We never have lives on Monday, but the world is currently in the upside down a little bit, so it makes sense. I'm Jenny Guy. I'm Mediavine's Director of Marketing. And even though I wish it was under better circumstances, I'm always happy to be with you and truly appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. So the thing that is on everyone's minds and what everyone is talking about is there's a lot of crazy bullshit happening in the world right now, and everybody is pretty understandably worried about it. And that is why we are here. We're here to ease the worries that we can for you, our audience, made up of the most incredibly awesome content creators on the freaking planet. My guest today is a familiar face to everyone. He's Mediavine CEO and co-founder Eric Hochberger. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Jenny.
He was with me last week, and we talked about how Mediavine is working to lessen the impact of the COVID-19 phenomenon for our publishers. But we've been hearing a lot of murmurs in the Facebook groups, which I know was a huge shock to all of us because bloggers don't talk in Facebook groups. So I don't know what, it was this weird thing. It must be part of COVID that bloggers talk in Facebook groups. But we heard some whispers that blogging was ending as a career. And so Eric said, I want to come back on and talk about it. And I love having Eric on. It's always a good time. So Eric, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Guys, if you have got questions for Eric or anything you want to talk about, just post in the comments. That's kind of a blank check, but heck, let's do it. It's crazy. Eric is alone in his office. I'm alone here. It's like we're in our bunkers. We're just talking. Let's shoot the breeze. So first off, audience that is out there, in the comments, go ahead and tell us what you're concerned about right now. Just post the thing that's bugging you the most. It can be ad related. It can be blog related. It can be your kids are about to send you around the bend. Whatever it is, just post in the comments. And I'm going to start with Eric. Eric, we have you on all the time. We talk a lot. We work together. But the first thing I want to hear about telling everyone is you're the CEO, you're a co-founder of Mediavine, you have your video and your blog post series, you've got Go for Teal, you've got SEO like a CEO, but I want to talk to you about your history and basically tell us, why do we all listen to you about things like this? And why do we talk to you about things like this? Tell us your history as a content creator, why you know about programming, and why you know about programmatic advertising, please and thank you.
All right. I'll give you my whole life story in just a couple minutes here. But as you can see from my 1 degree back there, I got to do the left-right thing here.
Yes.
I was actually had a degree in computer engineering, so I am a programmer before I did anything else. But in 2004 is when we actually started Mediavine, and 2006 is when we launched the Hollywood Gossip and became kind of content creators ourselves. We used to do SEO for hire, and instead we switched to being actual publishers, much like you guys. The Hollywood Gossip, that's right, has been around since 2006, which is crazy. Yeah, I can't even do the math. 14 years? No.
2006, yeah, it's 14.
14 years, okay.
So we've had that type of,
yeah, that is not right. So for 14 years, and we were doing our own ads as early as back then, but it was kind of back then, it would be called the backfill ads or the remnant ads. And as recently as just a few years ago, or 6 years ago, I guess, we were still doing remnant ads before we kind of launched the ad management side of things. So I've actually been almost in the ad industry just as long as I've been in the content creation industry. Just like a lot of you guys, I was doing waterfalls and all that kind of stuff. And that's really where I made a lot of my initial industry connections and learned a lot about how programmatic works. And that's when we kind of flipped things over 5 years ago now and started doing programmatic first. So I am a programmatic kind of pioneer, obsessed with it. I take everything from a computer engineering standpoint, whether it's SEO or whether it's ad optimization. So I think I come at things a little bit differently. And hopefully the Hollywood Gossip with its, I don't even know what it has now, 30 million page views a month is pretty good convincing that what we do kind of works.
So first off, what all of that told me is that you're a big old nerd, but we already knew that, which we love, but that means you make people more money because you are a big old nerd and you're very smart. But basically when you say we kind of flipped, that tell a little bit about how that actually happened for Mediavine. Why did you flip? Why did we start doing programmatic first?
Great question. So at the time we used an ad rep firm like many other bloggers here. And the ad rep firms, what they used to do is they would do direct sales and they would sell kind of 3 of the units on your page. And then a lot of times they would hand you the ad if they couldn't fill it with the direct sales approach. When we went programmatic first, the reason why we were able to do it is things were getting so bad at the time with our ad rep firm that our remnant ads were actually making us more money. And so I thought, wow, what happens if rather than letting them cherry pick the top performing impressions, we tried the top performing impressions, which is when we kind of did things programmatic first and just did it as a trial. Thought there's no way this should work. This is crazy, because back then that was a crazy thought. And it ended up making us 4 times as much revenue. So, and that was also a Q1 from a Q4. So I'll never forget that fun fact that we made 4 times as much in a Q1 as our old ad rep firm made us in a Q4. That's when we kind of knew that this programmatic first thing could work.
And you flipped it, basically totally flipped the way it was happening on its head.
Right.
And then at that point, you had the Food Fanatic connection happening, which was a bunch of individual sites contributing to Food Fanatic. And they were basically, I want to make 4 times as much money too.
Right. And that's when Amber steps into the story and kind of blows things up by having a bunch of basically food blogging friends, whether that's through her own blog, Blue Bonnet Baker, which is actually reappeared from the dead. You guys should check that site out. I saw a blog post on it.
She posted a blog post, y'all.
I know.
She's a crazy content. There's recipes flying
all over the place. So Amber's back. So whether it was from her own blog or from running Food Fanatic, which, as you said, was a multi-contributor blog, we were able to make kind of connections with individual bloggers and, again, learn that they had kind of the same issues as us.
We're teasing Amber because she's been so busy with Mediavine that she hasn't been posting as much on her own blog, but she made some awesome chicken and dumplings that she made on the brand team retreat when we were all in Michigan. That is good stuff. So go ahead and look that up. We've got a couple of questions. One being, well, Jillian Owen said, as long as people read content, blogging will always be alive. We agree. Eric, how do you feel about that statement?
I do. I think blogging, and we can talk about this more, is stronger than ever, especially in this current climate. So no, people are definitely reading content right now. So blogging is not dead.
Beth Baumgartner says, does that degree say University of Michigan? People are looking at your wall.
It does. Go blue.
Go blue. Okay. And Amanda Bauer says, husband is a small business owner who stands to be set back considerably, and my chances to help as a travel blogger is essentially not going to happen. Do I pivot the current blog and try to build it up? Travel is not in my blog name. I write about outdoorsy travel, so could easily go outdoor. Or do I try to start over, or both, leaning in that direction? Just really sad that the fallback plan has also been trashed, but I know I'm not alone. We are both entrepreneur types, so we won't quit. Just got to know what is the best next step.
Yeah, no, definitely not quitting. I think we're all hoping this thing is temporary, right? Another 3 months. I think it'd be a real shame if all small business owners gave up right now. So please don't. Have that entrepreneur spirit. As far as what I would do if I ran a travel blog right now, I am far from an expert on the content side of things from travel. So take what I say lightly. But yeah, I would do a slight pivot on your own site. Nothing that you can't come back from, because I do think the world is going to travel again. I think this is hopefully not the new norm for the rest of our lives. I mean, I think we've been extended 1 month here in the US, end of April. So who knows when this thing is ending, but I would certainly pivot in the meantime. If you're already an outdoors travel site, I'm sure there's plenty of outdoor stuff that people can still do while socially distancing that I would try to do within your community, and even with outside of your community, other communities. Think what you can do that's content related to this new normal within your own niche without going too far.
And I also think in terms of the content creators, small business owners stopping right now, you guys are what we have in terms of entertainment, in terms of reading. TV shows aren't going to be able to be made because they can't gather in a group. There's not going to be any new content other than what small individual content creators can do on their own from their own home. So you're what people have. You're what we need you. Please don't stop. Okay, so let's talk about some awesome real numbers that aren't so awesome right now. What are we seeing in terms of advertising spend? What is currently happening out there?
So what Mediavine is seeing, I guess, is even more so just kind of an industry trend. So we actually have, I think, a blog post coming out on this soon, but the IAB recently released kind of a study. So the IAB, for those of you who don't know, is kind of the self-regulating body of internet advertising. It's made up of people like ad tech companies. It's made up by publishers. It's made up by advertisers, agencies. Everyone along in the ecosystem are kind of members of the IAB. So it's kind of like a neutral third party that has a pretty good perspective on all this. And they talk to a bunch of ad buyers, the people who are actually buying the ads on the other side of our transactions. and they're saying spend is down roughly 33% right now. And that's what they're seeing. And they see, unfortunately, Q2 is also going to be kind of a soft time. And then hopefully by Q3 and 4, we're out of this, but it's still going to be a little bit below average. But that's all going to depend upon the economy. It's really tough for anyone to try to predict this stuff that far out.
So overall, industry-wide, we're seeing a 33% drop. And a lot of that, we're going to post that IAB article, and then we're going to be writing a blog post and sharing with everyone in the group as we always do. But part of the reason why we're seeing that 33% drop is what I read is that 24% of our typical partners are not spending at all right now. And they've totally suspended ad buying for Q1 and Q2. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so some people had the knee-jerk reaction. I think it was something like 70-something% of them have made adjustments to their budgets, whether it's completely stopping them or kind of decreasing them a little bit. So everyone's kind of reacting to this. At this point, we've already seen reactions from, if you're having 74% of advertisers, it's a pretty vast majority. So again, we're going to post all this on the IAB, or you can look at it now yourself. It's all public information that they released all this. So that's just industry trends. We're seeing a decrease in advertising spend, which what that means, our publishers, if you track the CPM and fill rates, or equal to an ECPM, which is your fill rate times your CPM, that aspect's going down. And ultimately, RPM is impressions times CPM. So if we have a decrease in CPM, which is what the advertisers are paying, you will have a decrease in RPM. But it's not quite equal to that same 33%, wherever they estimated.
So what impacts do you see this having on the industry as a whole now and then moving forward? And then what are we doing to protect our publishers' earnings? Yeah,
so one of the scarier things I think that was already being discussed before all of this was a term they keep using, which is consolidation, which is kind of the buzzword in the ad tech space. Basically, a nice way of saying a bunch of smaller players are going to go out of business. They're going to be swallowed up by kind of bigger players in the space. That is a euphemism of what consolidation basically is. And so that was already being predicted as happening. And obviously, with less money going into the system, you can expect some of these smaller players to kind of maybe go under, unfortunately, a little bit sooner. This is the same kind of stuff we've seen in the past with Defy Media, with YieldBot, and with Ignition One, and with Seismic. Those are 4 that I can think of since we've been doing this that we've seen go under. And unfortunately, when that happens, ads are run on kind of a payment term basis. So anywhere from net 60 to net 120 is how often kind of the advertisers pay for the impressions that they ran. And so what ends up happening is they have not paid for the ads that they already ran. They go bankrupt. No one can go after them for the money that was owed. And so basically we have to say goodbye to however many impressions they bought. So what we're doing at this point is we're going to keep things, we're going to find a way to continue to shield our publishers as we've done in the past. So when Seismic went under, we didn't come and claw back money from our publishers. The same thing when Ignition One or Defy or YieldBot. So we work to basically make sure that you're shielded, and we have some clever solutions coming out, because now that we think this is going to get amplified in this coming recession, we want to make sure that no publishers are kind of left holding the bag here when these companies go under. So we want to make sure that it's not your responsibility.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that right now, or should we wait to talk about that a little bit later down the line?
I think we should wait. We have a good solution coming. I think the publishers will be very excited by it. A clever solution, I think, that will help make sure that we are sustainable through this and anything going forward, whether it was the previous wave of consolidations or what's going to happen now when they're a little more rapid. We want to make sure that everyone's insured for this and they're okay.
And a big part of that is making sure that Mediavine is totally steady and secured as well, so that we're able to continue to provide the type of support, the payments, all the things that they rely on us for. So we're going to continue going forward with that and making the adjustments behind the scenes to ensure that we are able to be the bedrock that you are used to counting on.
Right. So I think we always say, like, if at the end of the day, like, we need to still be here as well. Like, we want to make sure it is a long-term sustainable business for us, but we want to make sure that our publishers are not impacted, because at the end of the day, they are not the ones with the relationships with the buyers. That is our responsibility. So we want to make sure that we can make things right in these events. So we have good stuff coming. That'll be, I think, a future announcement.
We're excited about that. Okay. So we've got a couple of questions here. First of all, Rachel Girk is trying to like stir the pot and says, go green. Jillian Owens, we've got a couple questions on this. Can you talk about the lower sessions requirement for new sites to be added to Mediavine for existing Mediavine publishers?
Yeah, so I don't actually know if this is officially written in stone.
It is, I
but
believe.
second sites, oh, it is? Okay,
Mhm.
Perfect. So I can quote this number.
Okay.
Second sites, we lower the minimum to 10,000 sessions a month. And basically, we're a little more flexible with second sites. You built up trust with us. We can then vouch for you a little bit better with kind of the ad partners and exchanges to make sure your site gets whitelisted. Really comes down to history, right? And it's very tough to get them to approve sites that are smaller because they just don't have history. And that's kind of why for a second site, we're able to help you out a little bit, just based on your relationship with us.
Fantastic. Okay. Matthew Campbell says, with the downturn of traffic on some sites, can publishers lose their Mediavine status?
This is something else we're probably going to do an official announcement on as well. But at this point, if you are impacted in traffic due to COVID-19, we are not revoking anyone's status. If you stopped updating your blog, 6 months ago and you just happen to fall below the traffic now, that's a different story. But as long as you are still actively running your site, this is a result of COVID-19. No, we're absolutely not kicking anyone out right now. That would be terrible behavior.
Yeah, a little thumb in the eye and on top of this awesome worldwide pandemic we've got going on. Okay, let's talk about something a little bit more on the edge here. So how is this directly impacting Mediavine publishers other than a bottom line? Are we seeing a lot of traffic drops? Some people are seeing traffic spikes and RPM drops. Yeah. And are some niches more harshly financially impacted than others?
Yeah, no, it's a little crazy how different it is from site to site. Obviously, some people, if you're in travel, this has been absolutely devastating. But then we have people that do like stay-at-home activities who have been surging in traffic to levels I've never seen before. So it really comes down to what you blog about is how it's impacting your traffic. And a lot of people have kind of pivoted pretty well and been covering kind of no matter what kind of blog you're in, how it can relate to people right now. So that traffic, it's really tough to say what's been happening. I would say overall, Mediavine traffic is not significantly down, like as a whole, all of us together. But individual publishers, obviously, that's very, very widely variety of impacts. When it comes to RPM, again, this is interesting. So CPMs have gone down, obviously. That is industry trends and not much we can do there. We are adjusting our strategies a little bit, but a lot of Mediavine publishers are still in good shape. And one of the reasons why is because Mediavine has always focused on viewability and ad performance. So when advertisers are cutting out what they're buying, you can imagine they're always cutting out the lower performing ads, not the better performing ads. So not to say that we are exempt from all of this, but Mediavine publishers certainly fare, I think, a lot better than a lot of the internet. Like people want to cut out the ads that aren't performing first, like if you're running budget cuts. And so Mediavine publishers have done a little better than on whole. And I think we've been doing a lot of tweaks behind the scenes that we can talk about more later to make sure that you continue to see improved performance as much as we can during these times. We're doing everything we can to kind of balance out some of that loss.
Christine Cook says, thank you very much for all that you do for us. That's what we're here for. And she also said her traffic has been increasing. Shinam Puri says, so this means we should continue creating content question. She's a food blogger.
Well, yes, 100 times yes. If you are able to right now, and I know so many of our lives are completely upside down right now and crazy at home, and I have to run into my desolate, empty office in order to do a live because of my children at home. And I know how hard this is for a ton of people to be able to blog during all of this. And there's obviously a lot of anxiety in everyone's mind and so many reasons why it is so hard to blog right now. But if you are able to, yes, 100 times yes. People are still reading content. People are craving content. I have never cooked so much at home. We don't even do takeout right now. We're being crazy with this thing. So yes, people need your food blog content. I promise you, I need your food blog content. Everyone does.
Absolutely. That people are consuming this content at a rate, they need it. They're cooking at home. If you're a food blog, there's lots of things that people are looking for ways to entertain their kids. People are looking for all of those things. Okay. Idalia Lali Allred says, I have a craft blog and I'm so close to the 25,000 sessions to apply to Mediavine. How soon after I reach that can I apply?
As long as you've had an average of 25,000 over the last 30 days, and it's not like a spike of just one day of having traffic. Nothing looks like weird or out of the ordinary. I know that's just generic ways of describing it. But if this looks like you have slowly built your way up to 25,000 sessions and you hit it in the last 30 days, apply, like you're there.
Fantastic. Exciting. And you can actually set an alert in your Google Analytics to do that, to let you know, to set basically an alarm to email you when you hit that 25,000. It's exciting too. Okay, a couple more comments from our viewers. Sophia Gustav says, my traffic almost tripled, but RPMs fluctuate and are definitely more down for sure. Lisa Viger says, my views are up and RPMs are down. I do vegan recipes and lifestyle tips and will continue as always. Love Mediavine and very happy with how they respond to whatever comes up. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's talk about some of those things that you were starting to kind of allude to earlier, the things we're doing behind the scenes to help combat this downturn in CPM, ECPM, RPM, all of that. What are we doing behind the scenes with our ad tech?
Yeah, so first off, the good news, I think I said this on the last live, Mediavine has always been a work remote kind of company. Like we've always worked from at home. So we're actually still fully operational here. That did not necessarily impact us. There's no weird transition to work from at home. We're already a bunch of weirdos that have been working remotely this whole time. And so, yes, we do have families at home. So some people maybe aren't working as many hours or are working weird hours. But for the most part, like we are moving full steam ahead, which is awesome. We're very lucky to have a fully remote team that's so dedicated to helping basically Mediavine and our publishers. So our team, especially our ad tech team, has been kind of working nonstop on releasing just a series of just tweaks. We've been re-looking at everything as much as we can right now. As I always kind of say, most of these little tweaks are like, let's see if we can squeeze out 1% here, 2% there. The numbers don't sound like a lot, but if we can do those and add them all together, let's say we can release 10 tweaks in a week, I don't think anyone would complain if they got a 10% jump in the RPM. And I think a lot of people probably did see that over the weekend. We released a series of stuff at the end of last week that was hopefully a little bit of a boost, and we have more coming this week and over the next several weeks. Again, they're small. You're not going to probably notice them. Like, I don't know, it's how far away we lazy load an ad, how long of a timeout we give our bidders to respond, things that I don't think you guys will necessarily care about, but it's just all these little things that we can kind of change the behavior of, how quickly we run auctions, whatever it may be. You'd be surprised at the impact. And we're measuring things across now 6,400 websites and like 10 billion impressions. So we can run really cool tests now at our size and figure out kind of those sweet spots of where we can kind of tweak things. And I mean, I can go into more detail, but we're doing a lot of fun stuff behind the scenes to make sure we can do whatever we can.
It's really exciting. I mean, and Eric is always excited when he gets a chance to talk about ad tech on a live. And I specifically asked him the question, so he's pretty fired up right now, guys. Okay. Elena Fernandez says, weirdo here too, homeschooling and working from home for 15 years. Yes, queen. Wendy Uselton Spraker says, I can't wait for a 10% tweak. Yay. And one of our co-founders, Steve Marcy, is in saying machine learning, which darn tootin'.
We are no longer going to be able to make fun of that buzzword. We do use machine learning at Mediavine in a very real way, unlike most people that use the buzzword. And that is part of the stuff that we're doing right now behind the scenes to figure out how we can best optimize for your sites. I mock the term because it is unfortunately used prevalently through ad tech in incorrect ways. But yes, thank you, Steve.
Fixing things, fixing the internet. Okay, we've got from Hase Alik. Do you think that ECPM will be lower in the next few months? What can we expect till the summer and after? I'm sure that nobody knows that right now for sure, but with your experience, you know more than us, just to be prepared.
Yeah, I would refer to that IAB link that we provided, if we did so already in the comments.
It's there.
Okay,
yep.
Perfect. Because even better than us would be from the buyers themselves. They're going to tell you what they're doing to their budgets. Again, we're going to be impacted a little bit different than the industry just because, again, more premium inventory than I think what most people unfortunately have on the internet, or fortunately for us. So take a look at what's happening with industry trends, and you can kind of see of how that will roughly translate to Mediavine. So I think I said 33% is right now. They're seeing again another soft Q2 or next quarter. And hopefully hopefully by the summer, if we get this thing at bay and everything start opening back up and people are spending money again, yeah, we'll have a good Q3 and Q4.
Yeah, it definitely. I felt a sense of relief when I read that IAB PDF and saw that that looking like Q3 will start to get some life breathed back into it. So we got to hold on tight for a few more months. Bake your breads, write your posts from home, but then hopefully. Okay. Shashi says, you guys are amazing. Thanks so much. Y'all do for us. I cannot help but think that with advertisers pulling out, the total revenue for Mediavine must be decreasing too. And y'all are still rooting for us. Thank you. Gonna cry. I'm live. I'm not going to do that. Jillian Owen says, so salty. Jillian, you have no idea. He's always salty. Amanda Bauer says, I just got in on the 5th of March and I can't tell how blessed I feel. Love this company. Michelle Palin, I've been speculating that ad spending from companies might see a bump in 3 to 4 weeks when U.S. citizens are receiving their stimulus checks. What do you think about that?
So I think, again, another thing I'm going to keep going from this IAB thing is that digital ad spend is certainly impacted less than traditional ad spend. So that's been one good thing, I think, for Mediavine and our publishers. But that's very likely to happen, right? Like most of that spend isn't going to go, unfortunately, to traditional brick and mortar. It's going to go to digital. That's where people are purchasing things right now. So if there was going to be a boost to advertising anywhere, it would be to digital. It would be to what we're doing. Because unfortunately, brick and mortar is still closed right now due to, are we calling it physical distancing now? I think I read that.
Social distancing, but yes, James Corden wants it to be physical distancing.
Okay, so
because he wants us to be socially and digitally close.
Perfect.
Leave it to a Brit. Tara Jacobson, any idea when the RPM per post dashboard will be ready?
Email in, and we could probably get you into the beta where we're showing that stuff. I know the team loves when I do that kind of stuff. Publishers at Mediavine.com, email in. We have a beta happening right now. We are trying to make sure that the new dashboard is in a great place before we release it to everyone. But if you want to use it in kind of a beta capacity, email in and hopefully we can get you into that. So you can give us some feedback while we fix all the things and make it ready for prime time.
Fantastic. Okay, let's go to specifically what is Mediavine doing to help out with the COVID-19 phenomenon or epidemic?
In terms of the actual pandemic?
I think there was something that we're discussing that one of our publishers recommended on Friday in a group.
I love that idea. I really hope we can make that happen.
Yeah, we're working on it.
The idea is, it's great. This is by Lawrence. And basically we have unsold ad impressions right now, a little bit higher than usual. We are making adjustments to our pricing strategies though, as a heads up everyone, to hopefully increase our fill rate, but slightly decrease CPM. So there's kind of a counterbalance between those two, but there will still be leftover impressions. And the idea being so we traditionally, what we do is we collapse the ad, or no one will ever see that there was even an ad there. It doesn't serve a blank space. It was just as if there was never an ad, especially within content. So you would just keep scrolling through the content. We always thought that was the best user experience. We still do, but right now, obviously, if we can help in any way, we will. And one of the ideas that Lawrence had was, let's use that unsold advertising inventory space to advertise for various organizations that are helping with these efforts. We have that list somewhere, I think, that we're looking into and we're working with. So I think it's going to come down to, let's see what we can do first at Mediavine and making sure we can get the advertising, and then we can solve basically the technological part is we give you guys reporting straight from our ad server. That's how it works. We use Google Ad Manager. And unfortunately, if you ran a bunch of what are called house campaigns or ads that run with a $0 CPM, ads that aren't paying you, it would bring down your CPM and raise your fill rate to 100%. And it would change your eCPM entirely. And while it is an opt-in experience, I think that could very much confuse a lot of our data that we use to kind of drive decisions. If everyone looked like, oh my goodness, overnight, our CPMs just dropped 20% as a result of running this, even though they didn't really drop, but that's kind of how the ad server is reporting it.
Yes, we are, we're looking at info from the CDC and the WHO and talking to the UN, finding out if nothing else, if there's a way that we can direct people towards reputable and reliable information sources rather than some of the speculation that might be happening out there with relation to this. Okay. Janet Hickman says, hi, just want to say how much I appreciate you all at Mediavine. Been with you for almost 3 years. Take care and God bless you. Kathleen Hickey says, only with you a few weeks, but so impressed so far. Right now, I have nothing to compare. So happy with what I'm earning so far. You have been so helpful and welcoming. And Tara Jacobson says, oh my gosh, this is the best idea ever. Yay. Okay. Can we pivot and talk about something a little bit happy for a second? People asked about the dashboard. What other things are we working on behind the scenes? Because that hasn't stopped. As you said earlier, we're a fully remote team. We're all still working. While we can't do some of the things that we had wanted to do and we're planning to do, most of our stuff is continuing to develop and go. So talk a little bit about what all we have coming down the pike these next few months.
Yeah, so the ad tech stuff, I'm always like a little dodgy about because I like to keep it kind of close to the cuff just because there's a lot of competition out there that will follow suit with whatever we build. But I can tell you right now, one of the areas we're looking to optimize is for food bloggers is the recipe card, the jump to recipe for non-create publishers. So publishers that run create probably know this already, but our jump to recipe is awesome on there, or jump to card as we call it. We managed to solve the viewability issues with jump to card. We managed to optimize the ads into the recipe card better than any plugin has ever done it before. And that's awesome. But unfortunately, Create is not run by everyone for various reasons. So one of the things we're going to be working on is bringing some of those tweaks over to plugins like WPRM and WP Tasty and anything else down the line that people are still running. And the idea being right now, again, I just keep saying this, anything we can do to help our publishers during times of lower ECPM, we're going to do. So that's just like one of the ideas. We have other new ad units we're playing with and testing with. The idea being, again, if we can create a new ad opportunity that doesn't necessarily hurt the user experience, things like we just did with that overlay recently, we're going to do that. Let's squeeze kind of what we can out of the traffic we have right now to kind of balance things out. If I could, I would try to make up that full 30%. I don't know if it's possible, but I will do everything we can to get us there. So the ad tech side has a lot happening, but again, there's only so much I can reveal. I can tell you though that jump to recipe experience hopefully should be soon. That's a fun one. As you mentioned, the dashboard, that is having a lot of work done to it. So dashboard 2.0 is not just a new coat of paint on the old dashboard, but it's a completely rebuilt dashboard. So while it's pulling from kind of the same data source, which is our ad manager, is presenting in a lot of different ways. Fun feature we're adding is like country level reporting as well. So that's a fun one that I love. We're going to have RPMs and revenue and CPM and viewability and all that by country, not just by page, which is the one I think everyone's looking forward to the most. But again, helping people understand, okay, so I have a lot of Indian traffic. What is it actually monetizing me at? Oh my goodness, I don't want more Indian traffic. Like, let's get some good insights from that, whatever we can. So by country is coming, and a lot of other cool features you're going to see over the coming kind of months as this thing gets released. We're hoping months. It's very close. I think people that are using it in the beta would probably be ready to switch over to it once we make a few remaining tweaks.
It's exciting.
Trying to think what other products we want to talk about before this turns into the Trellis show.
Well, we know what'll happen. I actually have a question for you that might help direct this. So Elena Fernandez says, I love Grow. Does Create work for non-food bloggers or non-primarily food bloggers?
Yeah, so Create is designed in mind with being not just a recipe plugin. That's why it's called Create and not named, I don't know, Mediavine recipe card or whatever we would have called
Mediavine.
it. Food, exactly. So Create is for all content creators. The idea is it's going to take any of your most valuable content and help you present it in kind of a templated way that's optimized for ads, page speed, and SEO. So things that people are using Create for that are non-food bloggers are obviously how-to. So craft, DIY, any content that begins with how to do something, anything that is step-by-step instructions. You can really think outside of the box with that one. That is an officially recognized Google schema type now. Create did it before it was even, yeah, I know, officially recognized, but it is. That's an awesome opportunity for so many different types of publishers to get that kind of recipe card experience, but with other content, get a nice boost to your real estate in the SERPs or the search engine result pages. I hate that term, but with my little SEO series, I'm using it more often now. And then of course, lists. I think lists are probably the most beautiful, awesome aspect of create. And those basically kind of allow you to take anything that is a list or top 20 posts or top 20 anything and turn into, again, a templated way. It'll make sure that ads appear in the correct spots within there and they look just beautiful. We worked with Lindsay at Per Designs to make those lists that I think are still phenomenal looking to this day. And then we're working on something called indexes, which is another content type that isn't specific to food. And that idea is you could use it even as like a homepage builder or a category page builder. But it's basically a way to create indexes of your posts and of your create cards. And they're searchable. And again, they're going to look fantastic.
That is exciting. So much exciting happening with Create. Talk a little bit about some of the opt-in stuff that we might have going on or what we're dreaming of there potentially. Can you talk a little bit about that? Opt-in with Optin Hound becoming and what we're looking at potentially incorporating with that, offering that solution.
I think opt-in, I'm suddenly thinking of like our opt-outs of categories. I'm like, what?
No, we don't want anyone opting out. We don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about
opting everyone into politics. No, I'm kidding.
Everyone just opt in.
Right. So one of the things you're going to see from Optin Hound is we're going to be releasing kind of a similar feature set of what people were used to with that.
What is Optin Hound, Eric? I'm confused.
Good question.
Thanks.
So Optin Hound is a plugin that we acquired alongside Social Pug when we bought Social Pug. And Optin Hound, lesser known than its Pug brother, but the Hound basically allows you to create kind of like pop-ups. I didn't name them, for the record. Mihai is...
I know.
He's a dog lover. It's fine. We love dogs here too.
We love dogs at Mediavine.
Mediavine Pets channel.
Yes.
So basically the idea is we will help you collect mailing list signups, but we looked at opt-in as a lot more. Maybe it's going to help you with growing your Facebook page one day. Or people still use that now. Facebook group. Sorry, I got to get with the times. Or whether it's that or growing your Pinterest followers, your Instagram followers, whatever it may be. All that's kind of bundled into kind of the opt-in kind of experience of it's basically advertising for yourself, right? I mean, that's what Optin Hound was, helping you grow your newsletter. And we want to release a similar feature for Grow, whether it's going to be a little bit separate from what the current plugin people are running, which is Grow Social, but we're starting work on that. And it's going to be pretty fantastic. We're using, I don't want to keep using buzzwords like machine learning, but it's going to be the easiest to use opt-in plugin is our goal. A lot of these, you have to kind of be a designer to be able to even build yourself like a form that people sign up for and that actually converts well. We're going to help you kind of all along the way and make the decisions for you using basically data, which is what we do on the ad side. So we're taking everything we've learned about ads and we're going to apply it to you advertising for yourself. And that's a really cool plugin that we are working on now.
So we talked about what we've done with the recipe card / most valuable content card, which is Create. We talked about what we've done with Social, which is Grow, as well as kind of looping in some opt-in with that. We have a question from Matthew Campbell. Are you planning FAQ schema?
We are. So right now, Create has been a little bit tied down on the next two features which are indexes, and I don't even know if you've announced it, but what's called Social CTA. So no, we haven't announced it. That's fine. Really cool feature. When people complete your card, basically giving them a call to action or kind of that opt-in that I was talking about, a chance for you to advertise in your own card. Follow me on Instagram or on Pinterest or whatever it may be. So that's a great little feature. So that and indexes are coming next. I think after that, we're going to be able to finally start opening back up a lot of development. So the reason indexes were so important is actually back to Trellis, which again, we will, I'm sure, start talking about again shortly. But Create is going to become kind of the page builder. And I use that term loosely because it's not really a page builder. It helps you use Gutenberg to create a nice homepage and a nice category page. And that kind of needed Create indexes. So it kind of drove kind of the development order of that. But facts, when used appropriately, I know a lot of people unfortunately are abusing them in the SEO world, are amazing. They really give you amazing page, again, real estate on the search engine results. So we're excited by FAQ. And again, that is something that can be used by any kind of blogger. So yes, high up on our roadmap, I promise you.
Ben, he said Yoast has an FAQ block already, but I bet Mediavine could do it better. Ben.
I would say we probably can.
There's the salt out there. Okay, Michelle Palin, I haven't started using Grow yet as I thought you were still working on it. So can you talk about what options are currently available for Grow, what improvements we've already made from Social Pug, and then what we're looking at going forward?
So Social Plug was actually a pretty darn fully featured plugin, which is maybe why you haven't seen us change that much with it. Like if you've never used Social Plug before or now Grow, like try it out. It really does an incredible number of things for your social media, from helping you gain more followers to things like Pinterest, hovers to click to tweets to everything you could have wanted from multiple plugins are kind of all consolidated into one. All of your social is basically in Grow Social. The main thing that we focused on, and one of the reasons we acquired it, was to speed up its impact on page speed. So unfortunately, social sharing buttons are some of the worst offenders that there are on the internet. And a lot of the times that's because they call out to third parties to render everything. One of the things we loved about Social Plug is they were not doing that. So it was less effort to get this thing up to page speed standards than a lot of the other plugins out there. So we've been making basically tweaks to things like removing jQuery for the programmers out there, the nerds, and other experimental features like converting over, I don't know, the web fonts over to SVGs. Again, no one cares what that means, but those are things that PageSpeed Insights is telling you to fix if you were running Social Plug before. So now with Grow, if you are using the paid version right now, it's an exclusive feature. The paid version eventually will hopefully be able to come to the free, but for now, they're two different code bases, so we kind of have to maintain them separately. So we built it in the paid first, because obviously it would have been unfair to build it in the free version before the paid. So our paid users are kind of testing that out. So if you're running the paid version, try it out. You just want to optimize page speed mode. It's experimental, but it pretty much has all the same features, and we're fixing it as issues come up.
Fantastic. All right. Shashi has a question about Grow. I emailed in and was told this wasn't a feature yet. So I was wondering if there was any chance that the Grow top shared posts could be finagled a bit to allow for top posts for a week or month, and if this could be displayed horizontal and not just vertical like it is now.
Great question. If Jordan were on here, he could probably tell you when that is. So Jordan does our product kind of stuff. Yeah, if you're emailed in, we will make sure it's somewhere, hopefully, on the roadmap.
Okay, guys, just a quick note from Nicole, our VP of Publisher Support. If you are emailing in to look at the dashboard and be a part of that beta, please put dashboard beta in the subject line of your email when you're requesting access for that, when you're emailing into publishers@mediavine.com. Please do that. Okay, we've got a lot of exciting
public service announcements. When you email in for Grow, do grow@mediavine.com. Make sure it gets to the right people. Same with create@mediavine.com. So any of these weird things I'm telling you to email in about, I might not give you the right email address. Please use it, or Nicole and team will not be able to find your email, and that's fast.
Absolutely. Please, yeah, it's pretty much the plugin. So right now, in terms of exciting things coming up, we've talked about some great developments coming to Create. We've talked about things that are happening with Grow, and we've talked about developments that are coming there. So then we know the last thing that we're going to talk about in terms of our developments, what is the ultimate thing that is going to make all of the other things work better and in tandem is Trellis. So let's talk a little bit of, I'm going to bring it up. You know, someone's going to bring it up. So I might as well just break the seal and do it myself. So let's talk about Trellis. What's going on with the development there? How are things progressing? Because I heard some exciting stuff a week ago on a call, and I'd like for everyone else to get to hear some of it too.
Yeah, when did we do this last live?
That was last week. No, that was last week, Eric.
They all blend together every single day.
There's no time. It's still March, which how is that a thing? I really don't know.
Yeah. Very confusing. Yeah, no, I was just going to say, even probably since this last live, there's been a lot of developments. I think we're launching a couple sites a day right now, 1 to 2 sites a day. And every single time, without fail, I like to compare their kind of Google Analytics from this week to previous week, of like week over week, to look at what happens with pages per session, session duration, bounce rate, time on site. Every single stat goes up. It's like all green with Trellis. So that's why I keep getting excited. I keep waiting for one site for it to be, I don't know, all red. I have no idea. So far it is proving what we saw in the first 10 sites, which were the employee sites, is continuing to hold true as we release it to more publisher sites. That to me is the most exciting development of it, is that it is working. Another fun thing is every single site has an improvement in viewability when they've switched to it.
What's viewability, Eric, real quick?
So viewability is defined on display ads if at least half of the ad is seen by a user. So they have to see at least 51% of the pixels for 1 second. But basically, as long as it is in the window that they're browsing, the ad for 1 second, it's seen by the user. So viewability is ultimately what advertisers are paying for. They don't want to pay for an unseen ad. So the goal is generally to get a site to 70% viewability. That's kind of the magic number. That's not good enough for us. We're going to get above that. But almost every Trellis site is above a 70% overall viewability. So that is a beautiful magic number that we're hoping to help everyone hit with Trellis. Because again, it drives more advertisers to spend. And even during, as I was saying before, when advertisers are cutting their spend, they're going to cut it from the lower performing stuff. Higher viewability will be the last to get cut. So an important improvement from Trellis is definitely towards viewability and all the Google Analytics stuff I was talking about. Increased traffic, increased viewability, ultimately leads to increased earnings for our pubs. So
that's incredible. Okay, we got a magic question. I was going to ask you when, but then somebody beat me to it. Carol Ann, can we see a demo of Trellis?
Yeah, we can give you a list of sites. I think they're even running it right now. You can just go to orwhateveryoudo.com. I know Nicole's site is 100% running it. There's a series of sites. So if you want a live demo, you could go to websites that are running it today. I think that's even
Passports and
demo.
Parenting is running it. Culinary Compass is running it. There are quite a few of the internal sites.
Exercise and Frugality, because she is one of our fastest sites. Rose, she always has to get a shout out too.
Lots of great sites that you can check out. We'll post some of the links down there in the comments so you guys can jump over there. Okay, as we kind of start wrapping up a little bit here, let's talk about what content creation and what can publishers do. We're doing everything we can behind the scenes to get them every single cent dollar that we can out of the impressions that they're getting right now out of their traffic, even though everything across the board is about 30% down. What can publishers do from their homes, where we all are for however long, in terms of content creation? What should they be focusing on? How should they be approaching it right now?
So I'm going to, again, use this as an attempt to try to walk back some of my COVID advice that I gave before.
Okay.
You should be writing things that are most applicable to your users at this time. I think I try to give a warning of be careful about mentioning COVID-19 or coronavirus or any of the list of kind of the bad words that advertisers are reverse targeting. Stand behind that. It will be a decrease in advertiser spend, but that doesn't mean don't talk about the pandemic. It doesn't mean don't talk about what the new normal is for your readers. They want to hear about it. You may have decreased earnings if you mention some of those words, especially in the page title or the URL, but definitely shift your content strategy. It has changed the way users are consuming content right now, so adjust for that. Make sure your recipes are targeting what people are cooking right now. Obviously, travel bloggers can't really be sending people to different destinations, so adjust the best way you can, what they can do in their local communities right now while socially distancing, and some of us being isolated. I'm a shelter in place in my county, but I know there's a lot of people that are in similar things. So, all right, figure out things you can do in your own backyard, whatever it may be. Come up with new content strategies for every single niche. And honestly, I've heard the strategy from a lot of pubs. Ask your readers what they want to hear about right now. A lot of you have awesome Facebook groups and great relationships with their readers. Talk to them. What content do they want from you? You guys are like the best content creators. You have loyal readers. Find out from them, because chances are they want to hear about it. A lot of your other readers that aren't so vocal and people on Google who have never met you before probably want to read about it too.
Eric, would it be a decent idea while we're all stuck at home to do what we can to add video to those posts that are performing well if they don't have them? Even if we have the capacity to shoot with our faces at home, great. If we don't, we can do an Animoto, like a short style video with a slideshow video. Is that a good idea?
Yes, I wish the IAB would have kind of broken out things display from video, because I'm curious to see what is going to happen with video spend. Because a lot of rumors are there's not as much video inventory to be purchasing from things like broadcast television right now. So there's not as many, sports that you can buy advertising against.
By any, we mean none. There are no sports.
Right. There are no sports.
No sports ball.
So there's no new content being created for television, right? Like,
nope.
How many shows have been delayed So hopefully some of that inventory or some of that video spend comes to publishers like us. So do video. That would be our advice always anyways.
Yep.
But yeah, if you have individual posts that are performing well that may not have been before and they have snuck into your top 10, make sure they're optimized. It's the same advice we always give. Check your seasonal top posts, and I guarantee your top posts in the last 2 weeks have been different from top posts any other time. Yep. So go to them, make sure they're optimized. That page level RPM stuff is going to be great in the future for that. But for now, you still know what your top 10 posts are. We have guides on helping you optimize that stuff. But if you can create individual videos for your top posts, that is always best practice. Those will always monetize better, and they're awesome for the search engines. Google loves video content. If you can make an actual video, not just a slideshow video, that's always better. If you're going to use a tool like Animoto, just make sure it's good content for your reader. That's always the advice we give. If you would sit there and watch that video and you think this video helps me, then it's going to help your reader. So create good content for them in video form and they'll love it. And it will help your RPM and traffic.
And while you're looking at what's performing well now that you didn't know was performing well, that wasn't performing well before all of this stuff, then use that as a guide for creating new content. See what people are reading and create content around what is already performing well, because chances are if that's already doing well, make more. Keep doing it. Use our parboiling example. Create content around the content that's already doing well. And Eric has a new blog post coming out today that is going to start talking about keyword research in his SEO like a CEO series. So we're producing content. We're pumping out a lot of stuff to help you guys as much as we can now. So we're excited about that. Okay, Eric, we're almost out of time again. Kind of a bummer, but it happens. So I'm going to ask you the final question, but I'm going to do some announcements. So I'll give you a second. So finally, I just want to hear what impact you think this is going to have on these small independent publishers, our content creators in the long run. And then to address the topic that we were here for in the first place, which is blogging dead? So I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Guys, I don't know if any of you all are out there adding homeschooling to your list of professions that you are already expert at, but many people are. Many people in the world now have a lot of people in their home that they are not accustomed to. So on Thursday, this Thursday, April 2nd, 3 p.m. Eastern time, I will have the stay-at-home educator, Sarah, and Myra Martin of Four Hats and Frugal. We are talking about thriving, strike through, surviving quarantine with kids. Our mission statement is helping content creators create sustainable businesses. And right now, most of you guys are working to cope with the new reality of having your children and your partners and dogs and maybe grandparents at home with you all the time. You're trying to add this homeschooling. So we're going to bring on some experts who have been homeschooling for quite some time to give you some sanity keeping strategies. They found a system that enables them to teach and really work with their kids while still able to work on their websites, which is the goal for all of us, to find a balance to where you can actually have some time to do the things you need to do. So that is happening on Thursday. So come hang out with us then. If that's not a good time for you, don't worry about it. You can catch the replay. We're always around. Bring your questions on homeschooling strategies, kids. Bring your lesson plans from your schools. We'll be here to answer all those questions. Finally, Eric, talk to us about the impact that this will have on the publishers. Is blogging dead?
Yeah, no, that was quite the intro. Quite the exit, your announcements. I'm like so excited for that homeschooling.
We're excited too.
No, never have I had so much respect for stay-at-home parents and homeschooling and everything until you have to do it yourself with your kids and you realize I need the experts. So that is an awesome topic that you are doing this week. I'm super excited.
They're amazing. We're excited about it.
And yet they still find time to blog. Exactly. Crazy.
That's what I want to know, how they managed to get some kind of a schedule happening. So yeah, we've got a lot going on. Okay, talk to us. Is blogging dead, Eric? Wait, I'm sorry. I had another question that I wanted to get to before we jump to the final question. Pamela Lee wants to know, does Google like videos of certain length? Before we jump off on that, before we get the final question.
So Google's interesting. The actual search engine itself, that's tougher to say. They probably prefer longer form content, I would guess, based upon YouTube. I know they prefer it longer there, but they only take like 3 seconds of it and turn it into a clip, the most exciting part of it when you actually look in the search results. So who knows? I've seen short videos, 45 seconds, still 30 seconds, still get eligible for that kind of specialized carousel that they have at the top. So I wouldn't worry about content length super when it comes to SEO. But when it comes to ads, generally 30 seconds to a minute is ideal, just because your readers are not on your site that long. They have short attention spans. And thanks to Up Next, we want an additional video to be able to play. So keep it around 45 seconds. You'll be in good shape when it comes to optimizing for ads. But for Google search, I wouldn't stress, because again, we've seen all content lengths currently kind of helping with that carousel.
Very exciting. Okay. We have people saying it was fun. Wendy Spraker said she's glad that her children are grown. Salads for Lunch says, how about homeschooling while also working a 9-to-5 job at home? We got you. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about ways to make this happen while still hopefully getting your regular work done. We're with you. And Amanda Bowers, please come. She said she's been doing it for 12 years. Please come. We'd love your feedback in the comments too. But finally, Eric, tell us, is blogging dead?
Yeah, no. So as you mentioned at the beginning of this, like that was like, I guess, a discussion happening in one of the groups. And I think, unfortunately, that's probably a feeling that all, I think, entrepreneurs or small businesses have at one point. Like, is my industry ending? I've literally, I grew up, my dad was a physician. I grew up him thinking every time, like, medicine is dead. Like, this would be insane for you to become a doctor. Not like dead, but like his industry was collapsing in his mind. I see my father-in-law do that with insurance. I think every time you're an entrepreneur, you're probably, when times get tough, everyone looks at it as, my industry is over. I can guarantee those are just small experiences I've had, that everybody feels this way if you're an entrepreneur and you're on it, in it for yourself, and all the risk is on you. Completely get that feeling. But no, like, I don't think blogging is dead. I think if anything, it's going to be the opposite is what we're going to see from this. I think bloggers in general, we are very well equipped to be able to work from at home during this social distancing. I think most people are not. When you look at kind of the more traditional, larger publishers that have previously dominated the internet, they are the ones who are making cuts right now. If you read online, they're the ones that are having to adjust to work from at home. They're the ones that are going to be struggling. Well, we have been basically operating this way our whole lives. So I think if anything, this is probably a good time for blogging. This is a good time for small independent publishers. Like, let's all grow together. Let's fight back and leave this thing stronger than we were before, not weaker, as long as none of us give up hope during it, which I know is easy to say and harder to do, but like, we can all survive this together. We're going to come out stronger. And I think far from dead for independent publishers.
I mean, it sucks right now for everybody, but it sucks a lot less for people who already have the equipment and the capability, like Eric said, to do our jobs while isolated, while being safe and practicing. What did you say it was? It's not, what did James Corden want? Self-distancing?
The physical
distancing. We're physically distancing, but we can still keep doing our jobs. So that's incredible. Yes, we'll make it. Wendy Spraker says, can you cover tips for dealing with a husband at home? I mean, we're creating our content right now for our lives based on what you guys need. So we'll start with the homeschooling. We can potentially have a marriage counselor. I don't really know. We'll see what we can do here, but we're here to help you guys. And please tell us what you want. Email in, let us know. We're here at sponsored@mediavine.com. So we're excited. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. Thank you guys for being here. You guys certainly are scrappy, as Rebecca Lowe said, and the best content creators on the internet. So thank you, and be safe and be well, you guys. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Jenny.
Bye.
Bye.